So let's begin to explore different collaborative compositing workflows using LiveGroups. And the approach we're going to take and the workflow we're going to take is using a master script. So that means that we're going to have all the assets in a master script, and we're going to create LiveGroups out of them. So this might be a plate that needs to be keyed, something that needs to be rotoed, a camera that needs to be tracked, or maybe CG that needs to be integrated. And when we create these LiveGroups, we're going to have that .nk on disk. Now the artists are going to open those .nks, and they're going to be working inside of them. And these are the subscripts. So from here, they'll be saving, they'll be versioning up, and then we'll have these return into the LiveGroup. So we're either reloading or we're versioning up to see the latest progress of work. So at this point, we'll have this nice stream of comps that are going back and forth between the LiveGroups and the subscripts. Now these subscript artists don't need to render out at any point because we can do all the final rendering from the master script and get everything out as a single output. So this is very helpful because even if these are all work in progresses, we might be getting dailies much quicker. We can see how the shot is turning out with all the different elements, and we can start making decisions at that point. So let's go ahead and look at the first example. Okay, for this example, we're going to take a look at something pretty simple as far as the workflow goes, because we want to get our heads wrapped around working with the master script and then working with subscripts as well. And once we get used to that, then we'll start introducing some more complexity into the script and see how we deal with that, as well as looking at other workflows for LiveGroups in a little bit. So let's look at this shot that we're going to be working on here. So we can see that we have some CG, we have a plate, and we're going to have to do some compositing in here. If we look at the plate itself, we see that we have some tracking markers that need to be removed. If we go ahead and look at the CG, well, we are very far from it being integrated, so a lot of work is going to be have to be done on that before we can continue on. So what we'll do is, as a master script, we're going to create LiveGroups. So we'll have one for the plate, one for the 3D, and then on this side we have some auxiliary information that's going to be useful for everybody. We have a camera track, we have some mats, so we're going to package all these into individual LiveGroups for the shot. Now once we return everything inside of here, we'll be able to write out quickly. So we're going to do the final grading inside of this script. And the nice thing about this is we can start getting returns on the work very early, start making dailies out of this, and see if things are working. Do we need re-renders? What's going on overall as a shot? And then we can make those decisions much earlier on. Again, we won't have to wait for everyone to render out. We can just go ahead and decide to do that from here. So let's deal with the plate first and foremost. So we're going to make a LiveGroup out of this plate. We want to remove the tracking markers. So we've left some notes here, some additional tasks that will be coming in a little bit later on. But a good idea would be to package in also in this LiveGroup is a write node. And the reason being is I'm not going to necessarily ask the artist to write this out, but what I want is the ability for me to have the option to write that out from the LiveGroup node itself. Now we saw earlier on that we were able to do that if there's a write node included, and this is a good idea because if this comp gets quite heavy, these subscripts, I can at least do that. Depending on how you work, you can have the artist already doing that and have that set up, but I like that I'm doing it from the master script. I have control of the path of where it's going to go. I have control over how I want the compression to work and what information I want out of here as well. So I can set that up, package it in the LiveGroup. So let's go ahead and create a LiveGroup. I'm going to select the plate, all that information, and we're going to go ahead and publish this. So let's find a path of where we want to publish this. I'm going to put this, and we're going to name this very simple, just to keep things straight, is BGFG. So let's say this is just the BG. Of course, your naming conventions will be much more complex, but let's just keep this simple for this example. Whoops, what am I doing? That's .nk, and okay. So now we've made our first LiveGroup for the background plate. It's already on disk. Now let's take a look at the 3D side of things. So we have, a lot of work that's going to have to be done on here. Let's go ahead and package in also a write node for this. We're going to go ahead and make sure we put it in the right part of where we want it to. So let's go into the FG output folder we have. And just like that, okay. And then we're just going to change the compression type, as well as I want to make sure I have the alpha channel for this. And now we have that option if we need to when it comes time to render. And we can also do something else. We can maybe package in another LiveGroup because we did have that tool, the render pass tool that we created earlier on. So I'm going to go under tools, grab that, and then place that into the mix as well, so they can go ahead and use those tools. So let's go ahead and select this all and create a LiveGroup. I'm going to Control L. I'm going to publish this, and this is going to go into our foreground script. So we'll call this very simply FG V01. Oops. .nk. Okay. So we do have this additional information that would be great if both artists have access to as well. So first thing we'll do is we're going to grab the mats, and let's go ahead and create a live group out of there, publish this, and let's find a path for this. And I'm just going to put this under extra info, let's say. I'm sure that name is not extremely creative, but you get the idea. So mats and .nk. And then the same thing for the camera track. Now the camera track is a little bit different because we actually want to preserve what we have in this camera track. I don't want the other artists to be using this directly. What I want them to be doing is expression linking out of here. So in order to do that, we're going to have to go ahead and expose some knobs from here. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to select the camera itself. And actually, let's go and, let's make a live group out of that first. So let's go ahead and Control L. So now we'll see when we create this live group, we do have multiple live inputs inside of here. And the reason being is because the 3D nodes have multiple inputs. Actually, any node that has multiple inputs will get automatically a live input when we create a live group. So this is very handy, if we actually wanted to make something that's a little bit more useful and have the artist use this, then we can go in and begin to clean this up, name things properly so they know to plug things in. But in this case, I just want them to pull out information. So instead, I'm going to delete all the live input nodes. So now we see we have no live inputs coming in from here. And I'm going to go ahead and select my track camera. Select my live group. I'm going to expose some knobs. Let's grab the animated information that is inside of here, and I want to pass that along to the user. So I'll just go ahead and grab down to the window scale, place that here, and then let's go ahead and rename this something like camera. And for internally for this script, for the live group itself, I'll just call this camera track. Sorry, for the exposed tab. Okay, so I'm going to jump out of this, and now I can go ahead and publish this. So let's go back into our folder here, and I'm going to call this camera track, just like that, and publish it. Okay, fantastic. So now we have set all this up. We're going to wait for things to return. In the meantime, we're going to set up a position for grading. We can start testing things out, maybe move on to other tasks. But now that means that all these artists can begin to work on their shots.